right, guys. I think we're ready to lay this first track down.
What we do is if we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Hey, Ernie, roll tape on this.
You got it, Del.
Hey, dude. Hey, dude, are you sure?
He's right. That's so much better.
Is he? Is it?
Yeah. Hey, dude.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello and welcome to the Docking Bay 77 podcast. I am your host, Dayton Johnson, and welcome to our quick review of the new album from the band Extreme. Joining me, we have good friend, John Wright. How's it going, John?
It's going well. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. And another good friend, Tim Brown. How's it going, Tim?
Howdy.
The album 6, this is their sixth studio album, was released just this past Friday, June 9th on EAR Music and produced by the guitarist Nuno Bettencourt. So before we get into the album itself, why don't we talk about quick thoughts about the band in general, you know, when we first heard them, stuff like that. So Tim, what do you want to say about Extreme?
This is Extreme is in my top 10 bands of all time.
Right.
They are just awesome. I've loved pretty much everything they've done, which has been a number of years now. I think it's been, like they said, 15 years since Salt Age the Rock came out.
Yeah. Pretty good record too.
I love that record.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
I would actually rate that album as second to Pornography as among their best work.
Wow. All right. Very cool. Ooh. All right. John, some opening thoughts on the band?
Opening thoughts on the band. I think the first time I ever heard these guys was probably in the Bill and Ted soundtrack.
Right. Which I don't think any of us knew who it was at the time.
Right. The scene with Genghis Khan going nuts on the sugar high with Twinkies in the sporting goods store.
Right.
But Extreme to me are the bastard child of Queen and Van Halen with a little bit of Aerosmith sprinkled on them.
And I think they'd agree with that.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah, totally underrated band. Band that never really saw the success that they deserve.
Well, they did for a minute.
For one song.
For one song. And for one song, and if you know the meaning behind that song, everybody loved it for all the wrong reasons. But that's another podcast.
Well, and I have said pretty much since More Than Words came out that if you only know Extreme as the More Than Words guys, you don't know this band at all.
No.
Because there is just so much more there.
Yeah, agreed. They're a really talented band, and yes, I agree. They definitely don't get the praise that they deserve. They're not well known, and yes, most people only know them for, you know, that one song. And if that's the only song you know from them, then you are truly missing out on a great band. I've luckily seen them, as John reminded me, twice. We saw them once down at Bogart's, and I saw them again years later at a free show here in Cincinnati, and it was King's X and Extreme. So
yeah.
That'd have been a great bill.
Reversed. We saw King's X and Extreme first, and then they came back and were doing an anniversary tour for Pornography, and we saw it.
Either way. Damn, John always has to be right. Anyway.
I don't have to be. I just am.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. So let's get into some opening thoughts on the album. John, what do you want to say about the album?
Opening thoughts on the album. I've only got to listen to it all the way through twice. I just got back from vacation and downloaded it and had to listen to it. I'm still waiting on my physical copy to get here. It is very. Oh yeah. Whatever. Um, it's very front loaded with some heavy stuff. Very front loaded with some heavy stuff. I think
Yeah.
that's my only. That's there's two digs I have against the album, and that's one of them. I think that the pacing in the album is not quite as strong as it should be.
I would,
However,
I would completely agree with that statement.
this is a kick-ass album.
Tim, opening thoughts?
Opening thoughts for me. I'm trying to think where I would rank this in their catalog, and I don't think it's up there with Pornography or my other favorites on Edge of the Rock. But I think this is a really strong, solid rock album. I don't know if you guys follow Rick Beato on YouTube, but he did an interview with Nuno last week. Well, he did it a while back, but he just released it last week or the week before. And if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's a 2-hour long interview with just the two of them sitting in a room, talking music, Nuno telling stories, and them just trading guitars back and forth. Check out this one. Check out this one. And it's so awesome. But Nuno talks a lot about this album and kind of his vision after Eddie Van Halen passed, as you know, he doesn't see himself as the guy to take up that throne as the king of rock guitar, but he definitely wants to be the torchbearer and keeping this kind of hard rock, shred guitar, just, you know, awesome kick-ass music alive.
Yeah.
And I think he's definitely taken up the gauntlet with this one.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I do like the album overall, and John's right. It's definitely front loaded with some seriously heavy rock, and there's serious bangers for sure. There are definitely a few surprises on the record. A couple of tracks that caught me off guard. And the band really does show off their different levels of talent on here, and I like that. And to Tim's point, Nuno definitely tears it up all the way through. Gary Sharon's voice is great, and the backing vocals and the harmonies are a trademark of this band, and they're just as great as they've always been. And I also agree with John as far as the track listing is my biggest complaint. It's not well balanced. It feels like there's some songs just completely in the wrong spot. It starts off strong, and I think the middle's kind of wonky, and I don't think the album ends right. So it's just weird. It doesn't flow well for me. But
I do think I like the closer.
I do like the closer
where it is.
I do like
I think that makes a great closer.
I don't like where it is, but that's okay. I mean, and it's kind of their thing. They've actually closed a lot of their albums with ballads, or softer songs. So it's on brand for them. But to me, that last song does not make me want to go back to the beginning and listen to it again. Is my biggest complaint with it. So, but it doesn't mean I don't like the song. It's just in the wrong spot. All right, so we're gonna move on to some tracks we want to discuss. We're gonna take turns. We're each gonna call out 2 overall, to say something good, bad, or whatever we want to say about it. I kept all mine positive. So, all right, Tim, what's your first track you want to talk about?
I'm gonna call out. Do I want to talk about my favorite track or the track that caught me the most off guard? I'm gonna go with most off guard, and that was X Out.
What?
What? X Out?
X Out kind of caught me off guard.
Me too.
Oh,
yes. I like
that.
the track. I like it a lot, but it kind of gave me a huh?
Yeah.
My initial thought, and I told my wife this before I came in to jump on to do this episode, and I said, it really sounds like I need to write a heavy song, but I've been binge watching Stranger Things.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of Stranger Things on that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I like it a lot, but I'm like, yeah, you were binging Stranger Things, weren't you? That
for a band that's very much guitar driven, it's weird to have a song that's almost completely keyboards. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's like there's one lead, but I'm like, okay. And to your point, yeah, I agree. I like the song, but it definitely caught me by surprise for sure. For sure. Yeah. There's a couple times like, wait, Stranger Things. There it is. There it is. So completely agree with that statement. All right. Very cool. John, your first track you want to discuss.
I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to go with the lead off single that they released, Rise. My God, the solo on this, I can remember we were prepping for another podcast, and they had performed this on the Monsters of Rock tour, and somebody recorded the solo because
Yeah.
there's a lot of speculation of how the hell is Nuno going to pull this thing off live, and he does, and it's
Yeah.
incredible.
I've seen a couple
It's-
clips of him doing it so far, and it's like dead on.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, this guy's good. I mean, he's been a lot of time touring with Rihanna, which I kind of feel is a waste of his talent, but it pays the bills, obviously.
Right.
Same.
Yeah, you gotta do
paycheck.
something.
Probably more than Extreme does.
Right.
So but Rise is for this album. Rise or possibly Rise or Banshee those two would have been perfect lead off tracks in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're arguably the two heaviest tracks on the album in my opinion. But Rise, there's just something about it. I mean, this entire album, I hear a lot of Queen influence on this album, a ton, probably more so than any album I've ever heard it on from them before. But Rise is like, this is what if Queen were playing, how do I want to say this? I'm just gonna go back and say there's a lot of bands from this era that have come out and made some really, really strong music. And everyone that is still going strong from this era has gotten harder with age.
Yes.
And isn't that just awesome?
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
bands from this, bands from air quotes our era, the ones that are still doing it are still doing it.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
they
you
are.
guys know-
They're not slowing down.
No.
you guys know I'm a huge Striper fan, and those guys have gotten incredibly heavy since they got back together. And it's the same with this. I mean, you said it's not quite as good as some other albums, and I'll agree with that. But I also think it's not meant. I think they're finally trying to break out of that mold.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see this one's done for them. I mean, this was, like you said, Nuno's vision and his calling card or statement, if you will. And they just deliver incredibly on that song.
Yeah.
I do want to say, just generally overall, and maybe this is a bit of a buckle up moment, but fuck this band for being the age they are and kicking this much ass. Nuno is 3 years older than me. Gary is 61, and I can't hang. It's sickening, just sickening.
Yeah. Well, I just did an episode with White Walker Entertainment, and we were discussing Judas Priest, and we mentioned their 2018 album Firepower. They've never sounded that heavy before. I mean, Judas Priest has been a heavy metal icon, and their last couple albums they've been two of the heaviest they've ever put out. So, and we discussed, John and I did the episode on Metallica's recent album, still heavier than some of their other stuff from early, like the 90s. Testament, a lot of these bands have been putting out albums recently, and they're even heavier. Like Overkill dropped a new album. It's crazy. Metal Church, all these bands that have been around for 30 or 40 years, and they're aging, they're still killing it. And I think that's great that, you can still come up with new ideas and still sound, hold on to what you were, but also improve on it and get better and get heavier. And so, this opening Rise is a great opening track, and it reminds you of what these guys were capable of all these years. And it's a perfect opening track. I agree with that. All right, so the first song I want to mention was actually the fourth single off the album, Other Side of the Rainbow.
I was going to talk about that one too.
Well, it's because we know from all the years that they're always really good at those acoustic songs, the kind of the upbeat, but right on the verge of a ballad almost, but a lot of good vocals, a lot of good harmonies. And this song is that perfectly. It's actually my favorite chorus on the album. I found myself singing along to it quite a bit. it's commercial, but definitely still sounds like Extreme. Personally, I think this would have been a better closer for the album because it's mellow, but it's very much them. And I think that's why I really like it. And of course, it goes without saying that Nuno's solo is just a killer one. But yeah, this is one of my favorite songs on the album, actually.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's one of mine too.
Yeah,
I really
my
like
wife even liked it, and she's the one that I'd probably put her in the category of generally only knows them for More Than Words or
yeah.
Wholehearted. And so this was right in that vein, and she was loving it. I was loving it. We were like, all right, we found some musical common ground, which doesn't happen a whole lot with us.
Yeah, this is the song. That's the track that I really heard the Queen influence on Gary's voice when he's singing over the pre-chorus.
Yeah. Okay.
And I can definitely. I mean, close your eyes and you can. The voice is not Freddie Mercury because there is no voice like Freddie Mercury's. But if you close your eyes, you can see. I could see Queen performing that song.
Right.
In that moment in particular that I'm referring to. I can definitely see Freddie doing that. I think we said on another podcast, I think Eric said it, that, if there was ever a person that was destined to take over for Freddie Mercury, it should have been Gary Cherone.
Yeah.
Well, and think back to the Freddie Mercury tribute. Yep. What band pretty much stole the show earlier on that day?
Every band on that bill off. If you remember, there were stories of every band that followed them was pissed.
Damn it, you put us on after that.
Right.
Well, one, because they did an entire medley of Queen and nobody else did that. Everybody else did their own stuff, but also because Brian May gave them an extra 5 or 6 minutes to do, More Than Words because that was their big hit.
Right.
But still, I mean, these guys, that was the moment that I became a huge Extreme fan, was watching that.
Nice. All right. Tim, what's the other track you want to call out?
I'm going to call out my favorite track on the album, and it's the closer, Here's to the Losers.
All right.
It's one of those great kind of, even at the end, they have the audience kind of sing along, bar band, everybody shouting the chorus out, kind of waving your beers back and forth, feel to it. It's a feel good song. You kind of get to soak in your misery if you're one of the losers, but you get that pick me up of here's to the losers and here's to the ones that fall down and get up. And the song, I love the message. I love the beat. I love the up tempo, but still like that verge of a ballad feel to it. I love it. I mentioned, I've said it a couple of times now about if you only know them for More Than Words, blah blah blah, but damned if they don't really bring it when they do a ballad or even kind of get on the verge of a ballad. Man, they really, that's when I think this band probably shines the most. Yeah. I mean, I love the heavy stuff. I love when Nuno just tears loose on guitar, but if you want that pop sensibility, that sing along, get everybody on board feel, man, they nail it.
Yeah. I like how the group singing at the end, from what I read on the record, it was actually a bunch of family and friends that were doing it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't actual quote unquote professional singers, but it was just a bunch of family and friends, which is really cool. All right, John, your second track.
My second track is my least favorite track on the album.
Really?
And it's the one that I don't think really fits on the album. And that is Beautiful Girls.
Okay. See,
it's not a bad song.
Right. I agree. It does not. Yeah. It sounds like somebody else. And I've been racking my brain for 2 days now, trying to figure out who it sounds like.
It sounds like it's a pop song. It sounds like,
well, yes, it is
a pop group.
Yes.
One of these boy bands that are so popular right now. And again, much like Queen, who I've mentioned numerous times, this band does whatever the hell they want to do on an album. And you can tell throughout the course of the album, it's them. So even that is, even Beautiful Girls, you can tell it's Extreme. But we were listening into the car yesterday, my wife and I, we were running some errands, and that one came on, and we got out of the car right after it was over. And she's like, That's the one song that does not fit this album. And,
I thought it
I'm
was a
like,
cover.
Yeah, I gotta agree.
First time I heard it, I thought this has got to be a cover. This has got to be a cover. Of
I was
something.
hoping it was a cover of
But
Van
it's
Halen
not. I looked
myself.
at it. Nope. Writing credits go to the band.
I did see the lyric. I saw the title when I was scanning through before I played the album. I was like, did they? No.
No.
Yeah. I
No,
mean,
it
again,
was-
it is not a bad song. It is just so out of left field that it just seems out of place.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like you were saying though, that's Extreme in a nutshell. They're going to do whatever they want, you know. They're going to put Decadence Dance and More Than Words and then Wholehearted on an album, and you're just going to deal with it. So
Yeah, but in that case, that album was telling a story. So I get the different ebbs and flows of that album. This one, I don't know. I sound like I'm ragging on it. I'm really not, because listening to it out of context of the album, it's a good song. It's a solid song.
It's super catchy.
Yeah, it's very catchy, but it's like, what the hell, guys?
Yeah.
You know, it really hits the brakes. And to what you were saying about, you know, Here's to Losers being the last track on the album, that pumps the brakes pretty hard. And if there was something else before Here's to Losers, I think it would work a lot better.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, because you have X Out, which is kind of cool and interesting, and then you go to Beautiful Girls, which doesn't sound anything like X Out, and then yeah, it kind of, the end of the album kind of slows down to, you know, a weird pace that for me doesn't work for the end of an album, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, if Beautiful Girls, like I said, it's super catchy, but yeah, my first reaction was like, is this a cover? What is this? Where did this come from? So
I kind of get what you're saying about the track listing on the album. I almost wonder at this point, though, in our streaming shuffle, add it to a playlist kind of world, if they're even really being all that conscious about track order anymore.
I would say you're probably right, depending on the artist. I have no doubt in my mind that Nuno Betancourt had a very specific way he put this album together. I can't imagine.
That
him
maybe,
slapping
yeah.
a bunch of
Nuno would
songs.
probably still be particular enough to
And he
worry
produced
about
it, so I'm pretty sure it was up to him, or at least up to the band. So, but anyway, my other track. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's the last great song on the album, and it's also the most beautiful one on the album. It's Hurricane. This song, when it came on, huh?
It's a strong pick.
That's a standout track.
It's really, really good. It just surprised me. I'm like, because like I said before, we've come to expect those acoustic pieces from this band, and whether it be, you know, like The Other Side of the Rainbow or whatever, but this one's just like, whoa, hang on. And I'm 99% positive that Gary, Nuno, and Pat all sing a lead. I think they actually take turns, those three guys, because if you listen really close, you can definitely hear Nuno, you can definitely hear Gary, and I know there's a third voice in there. I'm not 100% sure because I looked it up on the record, but it didn't specify. But I'm pretty sure. Give it another listen, and I think there's three different voices taking turns doing the lead vocals there.
I'm going to check for that because I definitely hear Gary and Nuno in there. And my thought through the album as a whole was I almost wanted to go back and break it down by percentages, because Gary is technically the lead singer, but I almost wonder if Nuno doesn't sing as much of this album as Gary does.
He definitely sings.
He's on it quite a bit.
Yeah, he's on it quite a bit, which is fine because he's got a great voice too.
Yeah,
yeah. No, this song is absolutely beautiful in every way. It's, if the album has a More Than Words song, it's this one. You know, it has the potential to be a huge hit, I think. It's perfect from beginning to end, and you know, well done to the band. This is a great. So this is actually my favorite song on the album. So great song.
It was a surprise to me because with a name like Hurricane, you don't expect
well, yeah, but it's about the hurricane of emotions.
Right.
So
Right. But again, but you're still, right. You know, with Hurricane, you expect a more, the name implies energy and
when you just when you're reading the track listing, you're not expecting that song.
Agreed.
No, I mean, and that's part of what I like about it, because he's playing against a type right there.
Yeah.
which this band does really, really well.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to final thoughts before we give it a rating. Tim.
I think this is a strong album. Like I said, I don't know if it's up to my top two of their catalog, but it's definitely in the top half. I think. I believe. I definitely think it outranks "Waiting for the Punchline" and probably the first album. I'd even say overall, the first album was great, but I think they went on to do much better stuff after that. So I would rate this at least above those two. Is it better than Three Sides? I don't know. I'm on the fence about that one. I'd have to go back and A/B them. But yeah, I think this is a good album. Definitely a big album at this point for them.
All right. Agreed. John?
Yeah, it's definitely in my top three from their catalog. Pornography, which we've mentioned ad nauseum already. I'm a huge fan of Three Sides to Every Story. I love that album, especially if you can get it with the tracks that were left off of the CD and on the cassette, or vice versa. This one comes in probably. This is probably my third favorite. Again, very strong album. These guys went out and decided to take no prisoners. It is very heavy, front loaded with some hard rockers, and then it kind of, like you said, it kind of peters out a little bit in the middle, and then it takes some odd turns towards the end. But overall, with age comes wisdom, and these guys have got both, working for them really well right now.
All right. Yeah, it is definitely a good album. There are currently no songs I hate on here, and there's no songs I skip. So that's a good thing. The songs that are really good make up for the ones that aren't. My biggest complaint, as I said before, is I don't like the track listing. I think it hurts the overall feel and flow of the album, but it doesn't ruin it for me. So that's a good thing. So,
this is definitely an album that will grow on you with repeated listening.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time listening. Yeah, I've tried to spend a lot of time listening to it at work and stuff. And last night when I was working the notes, I put it on the turntable and I was spinning it and going through. And yeah, it's, I would probably not put it. It's not my top three, but since they only have 6 albums, it's not too bad. Anyway, all right. Rating. Your options are Never Again, Stream It, Buy It Used, Buy It New, or Vinyl Worthy. Tim.
I'm going to go Buy It New. Just because I think there are stronger albums in their catalog, but this is a good one.
All right. Works. John?
Yeah, Buy It New because it's only been out since Friday, so good luck finding a used one.
You know what I mean. Smart ass. Anyway, well, to John's point, I actually say Buy It Used because I don't think it's great. It's I was struggling because it's right between Buy It New and Buy It Used for me. It's like right there on the halvesies. So like I said, there's some really great songs and there's some that are kind of average, but none of the average songs ruin it for me. But in this point in their career, they have still shown that they can put quality music on a record, and I would love to see these guys live again. Let's hope they come close by.
Yeah, I don't feel like that one's going to happen unless they add some dates for me, but yeah, I'd love to go see them again.
Yeah. The closest that I've seen that in our area is Indianapolis, and it's another killer towards them in Living Color. I mean, come on. There's got to be an extension to that tour.
Yeah, please, somewhere in Ohio Extreme. Come on.
Here's hoping.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll come close and we can go see them. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me for this quick review of Extreme's 6th studio album, 6. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
And I'd like to take a minute to thank the listeners out there for stopping by and listen to what we have to say about this particular album. Reach out on social media. All of our social media information is in the show notes. Let us know what you think about the album. Give it a shot. If you let us know if you agree with us, and any stories you have about the band Extreme. Do yourself a favor, listen to more music, and remember, physical media is better than streaming.